Alrighty, everybody, welcome back to another Dragon Ball Squadra video. We're a little bit late on this one, but I feel it's kind of good that we had some time away from Season 4 developing this list. And here we are. We're going to finally get to the Season 4 breakdown top tier list for the entire season that it was for each character that exists in the game at that time. I know at this point in time, Season 5 is already out with a backstabbing Frieza, and we're going to be getting characters such as, Bulma and Kid Goku. But we're not going to be considering those for this one. We just want to get this one out so you guys can get an idea of what we felt like during that
give your
season
new
4.
cell picture to use.
Well, the bear hug thing actually just became relevant again for that season. So no.
Okay.
Yep.
So without further ado, we don't want to just put this out there. This is our own opinion. If you guys disagree, you guys can tell us in the comments. However you feel, whatever the case may be, whenever that happens, and we'll promptly look at it and just be like, All right. That being said, let's get started in the order that the images were uploaded in. And apparently so, we're going to start out with a banger of Kid Buu, who was the last character that was added to Season 4. And I'm going to be honest, I don't know too much about how he works. I know you're going to tell me based on me telling you that, George, but like, I see he does things. The only thing I really know him for is his extendo leg that just grabs you from downtown, grabs you out of base.
The scorpion move?
Yeah. Everything else, like the chest bang, I don't know how that really works, and it's annoying, but I don't feel like it's like the end of the world annoying. And the shockwave.
It's actually maybe the chest.
George, just let him finish. Just let him finish.
But not only that, it also makes your character very slow. If you're in the area of that, Kid Buu will just keep making you slower. The thing is, he cannot attack you unless he cancels it. He cancels his own move to attack you.
So
and those little bolt things that you use, he actually does make you slower, but also does a bit more damage than his pumping chest.
people during this season were very adamant that Kid Buu was extremely broken. I kind of felt like he was fairly balanced for what he was. I didn't feel like he was Ultimate Gohan on release, where he just completely shifted the battle of, oh great, he's here, and that was it. So I'm wondering if I was missing something, because I did a lot of battles with George against Kid Buu, and there were good players, there were really good players, but I never felt like, oh, it's Kid Buu. It was something I had to deal with, and it was not the worst experience in the world. I personally would say, based on everything that he can do, like his extendo leg, the clone monkey bash, the monkey chest banger bash, whatever you want to call it, or the final explosion attack that he does, the death ball that he does, they're all really good, but I never felt like he was somebody that was going to oppress me. And I did not feel like he was too strong. I think after what we went through with God Vegeta and God Ku, he was the least offensive one to that. And I don't think he was broken. I don't know if you agree or disagree with me on that.
Well, the thing is, he's also meant to counter any characters who's having like any character who, I think he's mostly counter for the tanks, because he saw me the amount of times when I try to use Vegeta or anybody else, I immediately get destroyed with this demonic kid over there.
But fair enough, but a counter doesn't necessarily mean that he's broken, because when I think of a counter, I think of somebody that is made specifically to stop another unit, not necessarily somebody that rules the game. So, people have a choice not to pick God Vegeta or God Ku. And when this guy goes on the field, yeah, he also is a big detriment to Kefla, because Kefla's entire gimmick is going really, really fast, and when you slow her down, she falls apart. So you have to be very, very careful. I will say, I think Kid Buu is probably at the top of A tier in terms of how good he was during this season. I don't think he was broken. Do you think he was broken, George? Is that what you're trying to get at? Do you think he was broken?
Yeah, because the amount of times, because if you recall, the amount of times when you saw the boss appeared, it was instantly gone. Like, you literally, when you were trying to get to it, the boss is completely taken care of easily. You did saw that the amount of times we were playing the last season of the Squadra. You did saw some of the bosses just instantly gone instantly, rather than like just appear and wait until a minute until it passed. Because over there, when you were helping me, when I was helping you at top, because remember I decided to change roles because we were having trouble helping you get to S rank. As Boo, I do have the chance to like damage the boss very effective, because the Scream plus with the little mini boost that thing does give a massive AoE damage to clear out not only the enemies but also Monteroshi's his clone thing. Because you do recall, if you do that thing will straight up attack you. Do you recall that, right?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. But those Monteroshis will go after the clones and me. So that is actually a safer for Boo, and the clones will be non-effective because of that. And the Scream does give slow advantage to the enemies, but more damage on the boss, because if you're close to it with the enemy, it does give you a bit extra damage.
Well, let's put it for now top of A tier. If anything changes, I might consider putting him into broken tier. Just for now on that. Also, one last thing I want to bring up. This is also accounting for the divine draws that this season had. So that includes the Mario Party Wrecking Ball, the obscenely broken hammers, what was it? The Super 2? Was it Super 2 or Super 1 cooldown?
Super 2 Super Skill 1, Super Skill 2 cooldown.
Yeah, Super Skill 2 cooldown. So we're going to be accounting for those ones because those were the most relevant things to deal with during that time. I'm obviously ignoring some of the other divine draws because they did not change the game that dramatically. But the ones that obviously come to mind for everybody during this time was the Wrecking Ball, hammers, and that Super 1 cooldown. So just keep that in mind when we judge these things appropriately. Alright, next up we have here is Super Saiyan Vegeta. This guy, I noticed people were using him a lot, quite frequently during the beginning/mid point of the game. Mainly because if you weren't playing as God Vegeta, you were playing as this guy, and he kept getting his health almost infinitely due to that Super 1 cooldown. I think that's his Super 1. The Super 1 is the shockwave that gains some health, right?
No, it's not. That's a skill 3.
Skill 3? Okay, then they were probably using something that allowed him to refresh it quickly. Because I remember having a lot of problems.
Skill 2 was the one with the Gamma Burst, or what was the name of that attack? The one that just absorbs the enemy if you're got hit to it. Like pulls you in that move.
I know this Vegeta was just a tyrant when it came to just not dying because of that his ability to spam that move, and I saw a lot more and more players, even pro players, just using that, and we just got demolished. I think this Vegeta, although as crazy and cracked as he was, I think this Vegeta's value in terms of being a tank, it was considerably higher based on the level of play we saw, and I think he probably also deserves to be an A tier as a really efficient tank in the game. Not the best one, obviously, but I think what he does and what the game had for him with buffs and debuffs that they've been cycling through in that season, he was very, very good as a good option, in my opinion. So I will say A tier for that. Obviously, a lot of the roster here we've been through before. If there's anything that we feel massively changed in that meta, we'll go ahead and stop and go to detail, but I don't want to be here forever on the list repeating what we've done in the season prior. Krillin, I don't think much has changed with Krillin. He's still the same. It's still the same in terms of technical use.
Yep. The part of the season, we barely see him at all. We literally barely see him.
Did we highly rate him last time as one of the better technicals in the game? I think we did.
He didn't do his base trap as much.
Yeah, but with people relying on majority of the end of season being Kid Buu, you rarely did see Krillin. For obvious reasons, people want to try the new toy out. So, I will say, just in terms of technical, because Kid Buu exists, I think he sort of fell off in terms of what what toys in the toy box are more useful. So I think he's still usable, like he's still playable, but I don't think he's nearly as good as the other technicals in the game, such as Kid Buu, especially during the season. What is Krillin's Super 1 move, by the way?
The skill 1 or skill 2 or his ultimate?
A skill 1, which would be the one you could spam the most.
Oh, that's his landmine.
Landmines. Okay, if that would have been, I think skill 2 is his solar flare, right?
Skill 2 is solar flare, and the last one, the skill 3, is his scatter shot, which is Kamehameha's scatter shot.
I could see Krillin coming back if people used and abused the solar flare ability with it being cooldown. But with that just being the landmines, and you only have a finite supply of it that you need to stick on the floor, I don't think Krillin was.
Remember, it was skill 2's cooldown. That's skill 1.
Season 4.
Season 4, yeah.
Oh, good. Well, man, we didn't really see much of Krillin, but if that's the case, that would make him incredibly annoying to deal with. If every other second you're being blinded, I would say he would probably be at the top of B tier as like a really good support, but nothing close to what Kid Buu was. All right, Super Saiyan Goku. Instant B tier.
I hate him. I hate him so much. I hate him so much. What happened to
hold on. Let me finish. Instant B tier. If it wasn't for the hammers. If it wasn't for the hammers, man.
I freaking hate that so much.
This Goku, with whatever the developers were, I don't think the developers were smoking, because if you were smoking, you probably would have seen that problem ahead of time. I just think the developers were like, okay, everybody, time for lunch, and they never decided to think what would happen if you had a game that went popping off early with Kaioken and with Hammer.
No, Mark. It wasn't lunch. It wasn't lunch.
You know who was there too.
Well, it wasn't lunch. It was straight out vacation. Not knowing that the freaking, like, my God, the entire of the season was nothing but hammers and people with no skills just instantly going with the hammers and just wham, wham, and wham, and wham at our tower, and it was just poof, gone. And
okay, if you're gonna do that, you gotta skip the next two just to put his son with him.
Oh yeah, well you know what? Yeah. Kid Gohan being there broken. The problem is anytime you saw the Divine Draw Squeaky Hammer show up, you knew these two guys were gonna be paired up. Always.
Yep.
It did not matter if God Ku was there. It did not matter if God Vegeta was there. If these two guys were on your team, and you had at least one brain cell to bend and rub between it, you were going to win, because they completely destroyed any semblance of strategy. You could probably say that strategy is use Major Metallics, a very underwhelming supporter character. What do they call those? Helper character in the game that nobody would ever use, even with meat buns. I highly doubted people were like, I gotta bring Major Metallics so I can get all the meat buns. No, meat buns was not a reason for you to bring Major Metallics. This meta with hammers incentivized heavily to bring Major Metallics, because you were guaranteeing you were going to get hammers, and you gave the hammers to Goku and Gohan. You were going to win. You were going to win fast. The games would end in less than 5 minutes. Basically because these guys would bum rush. They didn't care if they died. They took your tower out in less than 1 second at most. And you couldn't do anything about it. We tried having a perimeter of people ready to go and attack. No, they just fly by you. They use their supers to get close in. And boom, your tower's just destroyed. Because Goku's Kaioken gets boosted with Kid Gohan's, I was going to say invasive, his passive ability. And they boost each other so high that it transfers to the stat of the hammer. And they didn't realize that, or take that into account, why that would be too busted. And the entire season was ruled by these guys whenever it came down to hammers. It did not even matter if you had Kid Buu on your team. These guys would not care. The game is won by destroying towers, not by kills. So these guys were the most annoying. These are Season 1 characters. That's what blows my mind. This is the thing that makes me think that the devs did not actually consider this, because why would they give characters you do not have to pay for? Make them the best characters in the game for a Divine Draw that would be the most common thing you'd be bumping into. I don't think they thought about that, because that doesn't make them a lot of money. So These guys unintentionally became the most cracked characters because of that. And yes, it's one divine draw, and the only reason why they're up there is because that divine draw was so common that despite
not to mention the skill.
Hmm?
Not to mention, I'll mention this right now. The skill 2 reduction cooldown. It also affected on Gohan's kick ability.
Oh, that would be even worse. So, if it wasn't for that divine draw, these guys would probably be at B to C. But because they were so gimmicky worthy with the hammers, they just became unstoppable gods of destruction. And that is very sad. I put the game down for quite a while because I did not want to be subjected to just seeing the exact same playbook over and over again. Oh, Goku and Gohan and Major Metallics. We know how this is gonna work. People are not here to play the game; they're here to win. so there's that. Okay, let's speed through some of these ones here. 18, she was decent. I wouldn't say she was great. She could, if she got some good licks in, she could pierce the defense of God Vegeta. But I don't think she was at all impactful in the meta. I don't think she's falling off either. I think she was just a good alternate choice, and that's all I gotta say about that. George, do you agree? Do you think she was probably just decent at most?
Yeah, she was decent.
Okay, Zamasu. Zamasu. I
Same
think
with him. I'm gonna say this right now, he was barely showing up too. This character was barely showing up in the meta too. Not even with the whole super move, the cooldown reduction, or any of those, or all the others. He was not like present at all in the matches.
Season 4 was the Zero Zamasu plan.
Yeah, God Vegeta just really messed this guy up. It didn't matter if this guy had more health because Vegeta could just, I like to call Vegeta's health bar a loading screen. Instead of the health going down, it just went up.
Yep.
I saw so many times where Vegeta's health, when you pelt so much damage to him, it just, instead of taking damage, it looked like you were giving him health. And this guy could not compete with it because he was slower than Vegeta. And if he did happen to outpace Vegeta, guess what? God Zone. So it didn't matter if he resurrected.
Yep.
Baby during that meta, and we're not talking about Season 5, that's a different story. But Season 5 Baby, kind
Season 4.
Sorry, Season 4 Baby. I don't know. I feel like he kind of was trash in that. I almost felt like trash during that season when you had a character such as God Vegeta running around, and even if he decided to go inside a certain other person's body, it did not matter because you were both gonna be screwed over by Vegeta's God Zone. So I think Baby, you could disagree with me. I think Baby was just trash during that season.
Not to mention, I know we're also mentioning Vegeta, but man, Vegeta's skill 3, the God Bind thing, he literally cancels Baby's trying to get inside somebody in order to be safe. That thing can actually cancel it.
That's true. That's very true. It's like Legends, where one character pretty much dictates the entirety of the ecosystem of the game. By the way, spoilers: Vegeta's going to be on S tier, bar none. He's going to be on S tier. But the thing with Baby, Baby suffered the most with the pre nerfs of Vegeta, and he was practically unusable. You could probably say the same for Cooler. I think Cooler, at least for this season, was probably not good to use as a tank. I'm trying to think what possible things he would have as a leg up against Vegeta.
His skill 2, the skill 2 is his what's it called? That's the whole AOE effect, the one that reduces enemies speed and disturbing skills effects. That thing only.
The only thing he has over Vegeta is the funny command grab.
No, the command grab was actually his skill 3.
Well, even then, you don't want to get close to Vegeta. The fact that you're gonna just
I know. I'm just saying that it's not because you could get him out of the base.
Yeah. But I think C tier for Cooler, at least during the season, is pretty apt because he was still better than Baby, but not by much, in my opinion.
I never said it was useful. I just said it was funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, and not to mention, I think.
Okay.
Hold on. Before we continue with Boo, they did buff him for a bit, but
even with the buff, it didn't even help at all. Even with the new skill, the new emotes they gave him, that he barely like helped a lot and helped them this season.
Well, because
So he just like
he was just
yeah,
not
he
the
got
best
stuck
tank in the game. So that's the sad
Yeah.
thing. All right, Fat Boo immediately goes right here. I would say better than Vegeta here.
Are you sure, Mark?
Remember,
Are you sure he's not yes, sir?
well, he fell off the moment this guy showed up. In terms
know,
of
but-
all I could think of is Boo Max, the strat where people just said, okay, farm for all heals and just sit in the back. And guess who was his best friend the entire game? It was God Vegeta. Because you couldn't kill that man with Boo just camping there, healing Vegeta. And what's that? You want to go kill Boo? Godzone. So Boo was in a good spot really to be an annoying A tier
Not to
character.
mention the immortal off against a team versus another team with God Vegeta.
Yeah. Boo didn't even have to be aggressive. His entire thing was hold one button during that. Any other scenario, he was kind of mid, and you wouldn't really want to use him, which is why I think that he's doesn't belong in S. I get we put Hammers at the very top, because Hammers is way more impactful at winning games, as opposed to Boo Max, where you could have a chance to still break through it if you played smarter than the other team. And so that games with Boo Max did not end in 5 minutes. Okay, Boo, they were still long, drawn-out games. I just think that Boo inherently had the advantage with that Divine Draw, where he could just heal everyone. And once things started snowballing, it was over. And that's what made him really, really good. I wouldn't say he was cracked or broken in this case. I just think he was very, very good at what he was doing when the rules were aligned with him. And you were kind of remiss not to bring him into the game whenever that rule set showed up. All right, Deborah.
I was gonna say now, it fell off. It fell off.
Yeah, he was a good counter pick to Vegeta for a little bit, and then something happened. I think something happened in season 4. I think that people were like, "No, Deborah's really good," and then Vegeta's like, "Oh, that's the case. I'm gonna just freeze Deborah in place over there, and make sure he doesn't get close to me." I think situationally Deborah can take out Vegeta with the spit mechanic, but guess what? Vegeta's not by himself all the time. So
All because of one certain unit got buffed 2 times.
He would be good if Boo didn't exist.
yeah.
Yeah,
So-
but this also another character that got buffed 2 times with him the entire of the matches, which I'm not gonna bring him up. We're gonna bring him up later. But for now, I'm gonna say this right now. Deborah was having trouble with dealing with Vegeta by himself. That's for sure. He was having trouble.
I think Deborah only really had a chance against Vegeta if Vegeta was already at half health and he happened to 1v1 him. At that point, you had a chance to probably take Vegeta out if the luck mechanic of the spit was there. But in a 2v2 scenario, Deborah is probably going to die first because Vegeta's going to do what he did and the ally was going to hard target him. So it really just made this Deborah not very good against Vegeta in that situation. So he's on C tier falling off. Oob, I think Oob is always going to be powerful.
At least he climbed out of Crash.
Yeah, that's true. I think Oob is going to be powerful or be relevant in every meta because of how his tornado mechanic works. I'm going to probably say at the end of A tier. He just wasn't used that much, but when he was, you still have to respect him. That ultimate is practically a one-shot. And it's like a bigger special beam cannon. Kind of unfair for Piccolo. You think about that. It's a wider range special beam cannon, and the sides of the attack still really hurt. He can kill bosses on his own, but the only thing that really just did not help him is that when you face him off against other gimmicks besides his own, he kind of struggles a bit, and he needs somebody to be there with him. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. That's the reason why I don't think he would be in B tier. But compared to everybody else in front of him, I think that he's just strong, but he doesn't have anything else that sets him apart from being just strong. He needs a gimmick that would help him stand out. All right, Cell. I think he's in the same boat as Cooler, and I would say he's probably better than Cooler.
Well, he's above Cooler.
Yeah.
He's above Cooler.
Better than Cooler because perfect form.
Mainly because Cell's second 2 cooldown was affecting him on his bear hug.
Mm-hmm.
Like quite literally, the amount of times when the Garbage was trying to get to you, I just bear hug him.
Yeah. And so with Cell, the only thing that keeps him in the C tier from being decent playable is that a lot of his moves were kind of you really could not get close enough to Vegeta, and Vegeta wasn't really running from you; he was charging at you. So Vegeta would get you in early levels, and you would start losing the level game, and by the time you were perfect, you were still getting killed. And you really have to.
You're not trapped in there with. He's not trapped in there with you. You're trapped in there with him.
Yes, the God Zone being inside Cell games is really funny. Because it's like when Cell's like, "I have you now." He's like, "Yes, you do. You do have me." Oh, I just realized what I did. It's like Cell just being an inferior tank in that meta was unfortunately a result of power creep. That goes for Cooler, and that goes for, well, I guess the Bora's always been kind of low end, but that's really the crux of the matter. Android 17, I'm probably gonna put him at the end of B, playable, decent. I know that's gonna upset Red Max, but hear me out. There are just so many things that counteract 17's ability to be good, like God Vegeta or Kid Buu and Fat Buu, that I don't really see much use of what he does. 17 has always been a guy that says, "Here's some candy, now let's run," right? In that case, he's rushing to give you temporary health so you could run away. And when 17 gets there and he gets disrupted, those precious seconds that he could have used to help the team are over, and he lost his ability to be useful. I think 17, at least when you match him up against somebody like Kid Buu or Buu Max, really just he could not muster it. He really needed people to help him out to counter them individually. He can't counter them individually. He needs to counter with somebody on his team and support them almost all the time. Also, my computer's about to die. Do you have anything to say about 17, or did I really just describe that?
No, I think 17 was the same situation with the other supporters. Well, I mean, with the others.
There you go. Just got my laptop charged up. Okay, but yeah. So it's kind of unfortunate, but it is what it is, right? I mean, he's an old support character, a technical character, and his age is just there. His gimmick is not as good as the modern gimmicks, but he still can be kind of viable to help people escape in the right scenarios. And I guess in some case he could act as even more health for God Vegeta. Temporarily.
I mean, 17's ultimate does nullify anybody's healing ability, which literally counters Vegeta's trying to like heal himself.
Do you really want to get that close to Vegeta at 17 though?
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah, you were playing as God Vegeta. You know that when 17 tried doing that, you're like, "What's that? You're gonna take away my healing? Well, you're gonna die now." That was the most funny. By the way, George was a God Vegeta main. Yeah, it was a shameless God Vegeta main, and we both benefited from that because it helped us win matches.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Frieza. I'm going to say it right now. Probably right there with Deborah. I think Frieza completely fell off for that season. His entire thing about spreading Zarbon and Dodoria on there was probably at best good for defending bases, but anything else beyond that, he could not one-shot bosses or kill bosses in less than 10 seconds with his setup because people already.
I'm finally put it to my brother.
All because one simple unit, all because of one single character is literally dealing with the Zarbon, while the other just straight up goes to Frieza.
Yeah. And Frieza can't do squat on his own. The thing with Frieza, the best thing about Frieza on his own is Death Ball. Because it has such a huge range, but you need to farm like heavily on that one. So if you dedicate the entire game to not engaging with the enemy and you just go for farming simulator, just to get death ball, you better hope and pray that they can do everything without you. And doing boss setups is hard too, because yeah, you could set up Zarbon, you could probably try to get rid of Nappa super quickly, but guess what? People know about that strat already. This is not season 1 and 2 where people are like, "What? So Frieza was already here?" No, there's a bunch of tools you can use to just one-shot Zarbon and Dodoria, and then also scare Frieza away, because Frieza is kind of weak on his own. Again, minus the death ball, and the death ball is still gotta wait like 30 seconds, 40 seconds in between intervals. So you have that, and he's fast, but also get this: Frieza can run away and get shot and still move, but guess what would stop him? God Vegeta. Say God Vegeta and even Kid Buu. Kid Buu could just yoink Frieza from downtown, and that's it. He's just toasted. He's dead. So he really fell off this season and was really
He's
not
so
fun.
bad, he actually became worse than his brother.
Yeah, it was so bad, really bad on that end. Trunks, Future Trunks. I will say Future Trunks in terms of the DPSs. I think he was probably the best DPS in B tier, just because of his refresh rate and how he could potentially one-shot bosses or two-shot. I forget how his mechanic works. You don't have to really explain. I get a general idea of how his refresh works. He could do some really good plays. The only problem, again, is God Vegeta. God Vegeta running around, this guy can get yoinked and he can't really escape. And that was one of the things that really separated him. At least Oob has a chance to kill God Vegeta. This guy probably won't. Let's be fair about this one. This guy probably won't. Do you agree or disagree? Do you think he'd be on it better in A tier, or do you think B tier, George? Oh, what happened here? Did George pass out? Oh no, I think George passed out.
He's still sleeping. He must be busy with his family.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, I think he's gonna probably be in B tier. Just for now, I think B tier is the thing. Gammas, I think generally Gammas are gonna probably age fairly well with that, mainly because the double health bar gimmick that they have here. You could be really close to getting rid of one Gamma, and then the other guy just keeps him alive, and then you could replenish him. I don't want to repeat much of what I said last time when analyzing these guys, but just like I think Oob, at least because of their health bars, you could probably stand a better chance of being fairly good at survivability against the dreaded God Vegeta. And then of course they got the core breaker move, which can kill the mid bosses pretty quickly. But again, they are not as modern as the other ones, and the other ones have just better tools in their kits that can consistently outbeat these guys. Yeah, I think George just passed out after that statement I made about Trunks.
It was so bad it fainted him.
It's so bad he fell asleep. That is hilarious. Okay, yeah, he fell asleep. Okay, are you able to just kick him for the chat? Oh, dude, yeah, he fell.
No, I'm not on the laptop.
No. Okay, let me just go and jump cut. Anyway, so there's that. George is gonna have to just deal with whatever tier list I made here. At least he had his input for the squeaky hammer section. Bojack. I think Bojack also is fairly dropped off. I'm gonna probably say in terms of the DPS, he's probably the best of C tier. His biggest glaring mistake again is just having his ultimate that keeps him stationary and he could just get destroyed.
It was impressive, but they couldn't move past it.
Yeah. So
now they could just dance.
Yeah, he's just he needs some type of mobility option for him. Damage increases ain't gonna do much. A lot of the characters have better mobility tools, and I still think that Bojack is just not cutting the mustard. And that's about it on that. For Vegeta, at the very tippity top of the list, we have, I want to say, the best character in the game. Doesn't matter what role. God Vegeta, best character, best tank, best DPS, best technical. This guy, okay, let me just explain here. This guy acted as a DPS because he could 1v3 you and kill probably all three of you. He could probably kill all four of you if he really wanted to. He did not care if he was surrounded. He had God Zone, which sucked people in who were running away, so he could get kill confirms. He could suck people away from trying to kill a friend. he could immobilize you for a couple of precious seconds so he can get to you and then suck you back in. And that had its own issues because for some reason the weird wonky hitbox seemed to always hit you wherever you were running away from that thing, so you were going to almost guaranteed get hit by it. His ultimate teleports him to the location of an ally, and guess what? Hey, boss is at 50 or 20%. He could just warp over there, get a kill confirm, and he's going to be doing damage to everybody in that vicinity. What's that? Somebody is low on health, just like Super Saiyan 3 Goku. He could just warp to you and end you with an ultimate out of pity. You know, just pity kill right there. So Vegeta had a lot of things going for him, and he was just oppressive. He was a DPS that could kill people. He was a tank because he could take all that damage, and he was a technical because you could essentially you treat him as a utility character because his ultimate, warping him from one location to another, meant he could break Dragon Balls, the Dragon Ball glass quickly. It didn't matter that you probably had, I don't know, taking out 3 people on one side when defending your Dragon Ball, but you could be like, my ultimate's ready, ding. It destroys the Dragon Ball glass in one, and he's landing on it. There literally is no way to counter that. At least in that season, there was no way. Whenever Vegeta wanted to, he could warp there and take it. There was no punishment, no counterplay. It was just a matter of time when his ultimate was going to be ready. The only way you would lose in a non-Vegeta, God Vegeta versus God Vegeta, was that the player was just flat out stupid and didn't know how to play. That was the only thing.
He does what he wants and gets away with it.
Yeah, you felt that every time he showed up, you were going to have a bad time because it was going to be an uphill battle if you did not have a God Vegeta as well. He incentivized people to pay for him. Let's be fair about that. He was very, very, very good, and paired up with Godku, who we're gonna get to in a couple more slots there, as you can see there. He was just cohesive with everybody. He was the perfect complement for him. He made Bardock, who we can play in the last tier list, who was I think we put him at the very top list of the tier. I'm gonna look this up right now because it goes without saying that it seems like tanks are probably going to be the best characters in the game every season because of this the thought process of we need to make them unkillable because they're tanks, right? I'm going to look right now. I'm going to look at the end of our last tier list. Where is that? Where is that? Nope, it's not there. Okay, hold on. I need to look this one up here because I'm fairly certain the person on top of tier list last time was Bardock. Okay, okay. Season 3 tier list. Yeah, I'm gonna look this up all the way to the very end. Okay. Oh yeah. We had a different mentality for that one back then, but he was on tier list. It was Oob, Hit, Bardock, Broly, and Zamasu. That was literally the top members of that season. And honestly, unlike last season where Bardock was complimentary because he could suck people in slowly, Vegeta was just worse than him because he could just flat out be the solution on his own. He could kill people on his own, he can take as much damage, and then his health just kept going up. I don't think Bardock had that same issue, where you felt like Bardock's health was just going up faster than it was depleting. I think Bardock's health just didn't go down. Vegeta just made you feel demoralized when you're pelting him with every super attack in your arsenal, and his health bar is going up like a loading screen. It's so demoralizing. So
Bardock could actually push him all the way across the map, and he'd just come back and say, "Nope."
Yeah, teleport right toward him. Yeah, pretty much. So the Vegeta is just he is the epitome of broken and unchecked in this game. He was too good, too often. Barring the whole hammers bit, Vegeta was just a monster. Like let's ignore. Let's say the hammers were even an occasion. Guess what? He did not disrupt the Goku and Gohan combo. He could actually just make that combo worse by disrupting people from getting close to them. So he didn't even falter on different rule sets. So Vegeta, broken, very broken character. Not much I could say on that. He was too good. Kefla, oh boy, this is gonna be really sad for me to say here. I think Kefla really suffered this season and went from probably being one of the best options in last season to being, oh man, B tier to decent playable. The major thing that made her shine the most was one of the divine draws that had the vanish restore. She ate good during that one because it was cohesive with her kit. I'm a Kefla main, by the way. It was very cohesive with her kit, and she was able to just vanish almost infinitely in that meta. Here, she had a lot of problems to deal with. Every character that you see up above here could give her problems, and that goes for hammers as well. She is terrible with hammers because of how her zone of damage works, her really wide blast radius. Giving her a hammer actually just makes her worse because her gimmick of shooting multiple targets at once goes away until the hammer effect goes away. So you can't really use her to go storm towers on her own because she's going to be left open. And hammer shockwaves do a abundant amount of damage to her in general. She is a glass cannon, but the glass cannon part of her being extremely powerful went away this season. She was not nearly as strong as her inclusion from season 3, and you felt it. You felt how weak she was compared to everybody else, and she had to farm up Snowball in order to actually be super good. Because if you tried engaging with any of these guys 1v1, God forbid you deal with God Vegeta, she is going to just die. God Vegeta 1v1s her, she dies. She 1v1s Kid Buu, she dies. She 1v1s Super Saiyan Vegeta, she will die. She is her best way to play as her, even in like season 4. As a spoiler here, you need to be in the background shooting garbage from a distance. Well, whatever character that's currently being aggroed is running interference. That's the only reason and only way that you can get consistent good work from her, is that she's not being actively targeted. The moment she gets hard targeted, it's hard for her to come back because then she starts dropping levels, and when she starts dropping levels, you're forcing her to stay away from the battlefield to grind, and if she isn't, she's just not going to kill people. Her hair whip, one of the best things that she had on her introduction, was a way for her to multi-target people at full power and also run around the map, ruling everybody in terms of mobility. And she just could not do that this season because guess what? God Zone. She gets God Zoned once by Vegeta, it's over for her. She can't even double vanish away from that because guess what? Some God Vegetas also had double vanish. So they could just chase her, get an easy kill, and there goes 1 DPS from the game. So he was going to be an inevitable counter pick to Kefla. He would slow her down. Even from downtown, he would slow her down, and that couple of seconds where she cannot move is just enough seconds for Vegeta to get close to her and kill her. That was it. So, in terms of God Vegeta, yeah, he was a menace to Kefla and really shut down her usefulness. And every other character that was strong at that point took advantage of Kefla's nerfs that they blessed her with at the start of the season 4, and it just kind of went downhill for her there. She hasn't quite recovered, and I think it just made her really dangerous to play as. And hey, I'm used to that. That's why I'm not putting her in C, because I don't think that she was unusable. You just had to be extremely careful to use her. All right, Kale. Oh man, in this case, I'm gonna say Kale ate pretty good in this one. She basically, because of how the mechanics worked and the divine draw that really helped her her laser gun from a distance, she could laser gun for days and she could be safe. Unlike Kefla, Kale could just sit back and shoot off screen multiple times over and probably farm snowballs without actually putting herself in danger. And then you got Superstart, where Superstart is just going to amplify her catapult, etc., etc. I've said many great things about Kale, it just in terms of how she works. The biggest flaw, of course, is God Vegeta. She can't really kill God Vegeta from long distance because how tanky he was and how practically invincible he was. And once she got cornered, there was no way for her to get out. Double vanish be damned. It was really hard for her to survive. But in terms of being a consistent snowball-y damage dealer from a distance. I think she did very, very good. She was a safe option when you wanted to get rid of like 2 or 3 players at once, especially with a proper setup. But one thing I noticed big time is that when you start fighting against better people, especially when bosses appeared in the middle, they'd be waiting for Kale at the gates, so she wouldn't get a chance to do that. And so that was, and these are the characters you see above were typically the things that kept her from being very useful. Boo Max, when he was popping off, it didn't matter that she had a cluster of explosion damage. It would do nothing because Boo would be healing everybody faster than her damage would. On the flip side, compared to everybody else below her, she could fairly well destroy them in one shot if they were in a cluster without said Boo Max. And it was just superior to play the beam game, basically because Vegeta punished you for being up close and personal. So that's kind of a weirdish look at how Kale was. I think I put Kale in B tier last time because of how Vegeta shaped the landscape. She's definitely at the very bottom of A tier, just in terms of how safe it was just to chuck garbage from a distance and not be punished more often than not. Alright, so Caulifla. Caulifla's a very interesting character. I tried playing as Caulifla with Vegeta in mind, and you definitely feel you're at a disadvantage. I will say she's at the very bottom of B tier. Her, unfortunately, because of how God Vegeta and God Goku's ultimates work, they mean nothing to her. She can't space him out. She can't push him away. Man, I'm still thinking about that Bardock where she had that thing up and she still got pushed. The only thing I could think of that really helped her was against hammers sometimes, because she could push people out of the zone so they couldn't get in range for a hammer hit. But
5 seconds.
yeah, but other than that, you had to go in with Caulifla just being a tower stormer. You are not going to be able to kill people, especially God Vegeta, in a 1v1 fight with her. You have to be creative as a tank and use what I was using Caulifla for was, hey everybody, I'm right over here. And that usually helped with getting everybody to go attack me, knowing I was going to die, but I was going to help other people to go kill boss. In terms of just being a tank compared to somebody like Zamasu, she sucks against Zamasu. She sucks against Vegeta. She sucks against even the Super Saiyan version of it, because the rule sets during that meta was just stacked against her, and she wasn't that good. I wouldn't say she was garbage or like falling off as if, oh man, she would get one shot every single time, because I just said she had some really good uses, if not tiny uses. But she definitely is got power crept by God Vegeta specifically, and the other guys just got better toys to deal with her in that Divine Draw setup. Topo is quite an interesting one, because Topo, he has that mechanic with the counter, and in the right scenarios, I think he did Deborah's job way better than Deborah as a counter pick to Vegeta. We had instances where enemies brought Topo, and they're like, yes Vegeta, suck me in! And he would have the counter ready, so any damage that Vegeta did, Topo would inflict that juicy damage, and also the linger damage that he would put on there, and that would get rid of Vegeta fairly quickly in a 1v1. I think Topo is actually a in the hands of a really good player, can 1v1 Vegeta. Now, I'm not putting him in S tier for that reason. I'm putting him probably right around here, for one thing only. If Vegeta did not have backup, Topo would be able to be a really perfect counter. But there's a character right here that completely nullified Topo's usefulness. People knew that Topo would be able to counter, so they had Godku take it. So Godku would shoot Topo before he would get a chance to get to Vegeta and do that little strat. Yeah. And there you have it. Godku in Finger Gun. Godku in itself, even on release, is a fragile guy. I wouldn't even say he's a glass cannon. He's a DPS. But I wouldn't say he's doing Kale numbers in terms of explosive damage. Godku is there to piss you off because you can never reach him. He has an angling super attack called the finger gun, where he just shoots you from a million miles away, and if you move, he moves with you because he's tracking you. If you move to the upwards or downwards, he's gonna follow you. It don't matter if he's gonna someone's chasing at him. Guess what? Because God Vegeta is protecting him. God
Even
Vegeta.
even if he wasn't, he'd run away.
Yeah, and I failed to bring this up before, but God Vegeta is the only character in the game, to my knowledge, where he can be protecting the base and also kill the boss at the same time. And because you don't want to approach the base because he's there and you're just going to get God zoned. But then you also need to consider that he's just waiting on standby to use an ultimate attack to just finish the boss from wherever he's at. Same thing goes for Godku. Godku introduced his instant transmission Kamehameha that can essentially just shoot a Kamehameha on any point on the screen. And having him paired up with Vegeta, where both of them can practically just dump their ultimate attacks onto the boss when it's low, effectively makes them uncounterable for that. I don't think there's any way to counterplay them putting both of them throwing their ultimate, because they're above screen, so you can't hurt them, you cannot disrupt them mid beam attack. They're just going to do the damage for free, and it's going to hurt you a lot. It is going to hurt a lot. And Godku has the annoying thing where any person that is a tank or a DPS or even a technical that is drawing your attention, well, guess what? You can go and attack that guy there, but you're going to get burn damage from Goku, and you're going to die. Even Caulifla's barrier is not immune to Godku's finger gun. He has Pierce on it. So get this, she could put up her barrier and go, and that goes the same for Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta. Their barriers are ignored when Godku's shooting them.
Those fingers are a Swiss Army knife.
Yes, bad decision. I don't know what they were thinking about that.
Bullshit.
I know we're not talking about Super Fight, but he's still got that as his main gimmick.
Yeah, Goku has other tools. The only thing I remember Goku for even having is just the finger guns and the instant transmission Kamehameha. That is it. There's nothing else Goku needs. In fact, you could have just removed everything else from that kit of his, and that's all he needed. So he is a menace. He was a boss killer. He was a team killer. He was an annoying assist to any tank that was in the game. He didn't even need God Vegeta sometimes. If it was any other tank in there, he could just be the annoying guy shooting from a distance. And if they ran away and you somehow managed to run away at low health, you were going to die because of the heat damage that came with it. So, yeah, Goku was just too good. Paired up with already the best character in the game, God Vegeta, you were going to have a hard time dealing with him. And the only thing that keeps him from being better than Vegeta, in my opinion, is that you can actually kill Goku. You can actually kill Goku if you get close enough.
If he wasn't able to pay attention to the screen for 5 seconds, then he'd die.
Yeah, if you're careless with Goku and you're by yourself and people get close up to you, your finger gun will not save you, and you can still get killed that way. He does not have a lot of health, so that was like the only weakness they kind of foresaw. But that weakness is moot when you have God Vegeta being paired up with him, because they're both gonna just keep you away from God Goku, and God Vegeta is gonna be like, "You're staying with me," and then you're gonna die. Piccolo.
I'm not in here with you.
Piccolo. Yeah, Piccolo. I think he still is a fairly competent boss killer. They weakened him last season, and then I think they tweaked his special beam again. At least it feels that way. So I'm gonna put him probably at the very top of E tier, because his entire gimmick of special beaming is kind of timeless. And I think the only reason why he didn't really get much play is because we had Godku, who essentially zoned Piccolo out fairly commonly. So you really couldn't do much as a counter pick to him. Your landmines didn't matter, because God Vegeta just was a freight train that didn't mind eating that damage. His Hell Zone grenade didn't do much. It's a special beam cannon. That's the only saving grace from it. I think he's better than Trunks in that avenue, because Trunks was a boss killer too. But I've seen a lot of teams where all they did was just farm experience for Piccolo. So Piccolo's entire job was just boss killing, guaranteeing it every single time. And I think that is way more valuable than Trunks, who if you don't see Trunks for a while, it's a problem. But if you don't see Piccolo for a while, you're suspicious. You're like, oh no.
Oh no.
Yeah, exactly. And the only reason why I don't think he's A tier is because you are playing to set up Piccolo. You are not playing to fight consistently in the game with him. He's not a DPS that is there to 1v1 people anymore. He's there to set up one shot, and if it misses, well, you're screwed. Go back to charging up again. Same cannot be said for Daima Goku. I think Daima Goku goes right above Topo because of that stinky power pole. That power pole range and movement and speed that he has was enough to just outzone people like Kefla. And essentially, if you were not God Vegeta, this guy was going to chase you and kill you. He had way more speed, he had way more tools, he had that linger damage that hits with his landmine.
It's amazing that he's a DPS and not a technical. I mean, with the speed he has and what the power pole does, it's like, it makes almost more sense for him to be a technical. But since it's Goku, I guess we can't trade him up.
So the Daima Goku, without going into too much detail on that, he's just annoying to deal with. That goes for man. Like, what was my tier list for? Where was Daima's placement? Daima's
Not very
placement.
high. He wasn't that good last season.
Oh, he was
I mean,
A tier.
season 3.
He was slightly better than Caligula in A
Oh,
tier.
right. I must have been thinking of the beta list.
So you have that in mind, and Daima was just, if he was on there, you had in his small hitbox too. I think that was another thing that made him really difficult to deal with, is the small hitbox. Okay, hit, because technicals were all the rage for this season because of how Kid Buu was and how Buu Max worked. We saw him every once in a while. I think consistently, if you're dealing with a good hit was probably one of the better technical options in the game. He still did what he typically does, where he's annoying. But because God Vegeta exists, God Vegeta could see him on tower, essentially not even care if he went in disappear mode, because Vegeta could just suck him in, and that was it. So he kind of fell off from being extremely broken like before because of how different the meta was for that. Super Saiyan 3 Goku, yep, definitely. Top three character in the game.
Super Saiyan 3 Goku just hasn't really changed with these tiers.
Yeah, Super Saiyan 3 Goku was A tier for us last season, and for him to go back to S tier because it just teleport into kill, and then you also have to deal with God Vegeta be there as well. He really did. Get this. God Vegeta could be taking on 4 different people at once, and he'd probably get them low, but he's about to die. Here's Super Saiyan 3 Goku instant transmissioning, wiping them out with a Kamehameha. That is Goku. I think unless they do something radically different for him in an update, he's going to be a timeless character that will never age. His instant transmission is far too valuable, in my opinion. But without going into too much of the same thing from previous videos, he is a menace every season he's alive in. Then we got Gotenks, which I think for sure, I think he's probably the worst technical in the game. Worst technical.
Fell off.
Fell
He's
off.
the definition of falling off.
Yeah.
Honestly, he's still annoying to fight against, though. But honestly,
That's because he's no, he's annoying to fight with, because he keeps spamming
charging
those
forward.
the directions. Give me a minute.
So it's just the guy giving the commands there. That seems like a skill issue. On the players, not you.
No, well, it is in comparing him up to everybody else that's here. His gimmick of the donuts, the donut
donut.
attack? Yeah, the donut attack. It's not nearly as impactful. Why would you want Vegeta to get closer to you? That is the thing of you're just moving Vegeta, which is either one, inevitable, or two, why you idiot, why you bring him over here, kind of situation. And his strongest move with the Ghost Kamikazes, you don't feel it as much. You don't feel the impact of those guys as like they used to. And because he was one of the very first new technicals in the game, this was expected. All right, Ultimate Gohan. He used to be incredibly annoying because of how
Oh,
his
yeah.
refresh rate was. I don't think he's
His
nearly
yo-yo.
His yo-yo. I don't think he's nearly as annoying. I think at best he's probably the best out of B tier in terms of. I think he outpaces Kefla because he can kind of just 1v1 her and still somehow survive. She's that fragile. Gohan here, because they nerfed him to Oblivion, his usefulness for controlling the game has gone down significantly, and
Of course
everybody
they had to
above him.
nerf him. I mean, he's not Goku.
He's vanilla.
And I think because of that, now he actually can consistently take good damage, and he can just die quicker. I don't think he's nearly as good as he used to, and that's kind of about it. Vegeto's an interesting guy. I think he kind of flip-flops between A and sometimes S, depending on the player. I will never forget the entire team of 4 trying to take down a Vegeto at 20% health, and he killed them all because of how his lightsaber, his hand saber attack works, where he's able to, if he hits multiple targets, he refreshes faster and he can regain health. It's honestly kind of annoying.
I'd say for this season, just add an extra tier of A and S together.
AMS, what?
A and S.
ANS.
Oh,
Yeah, like
AMS.
something
If
between
there's
these
not
two.
AMSR,
I will say without actually seeing too much of him, like the times we did, he was very impressive. I will say he is probably better than, I would say right below Kid Buu in terms of usefulness. I wouldn't say he's Super Saiyan 3 levels, but I think he has a lot of powerful abilities and gimmicks that keep him very fearsome to fight against, and you gotta respect him for that. He's not weak. He can face you off as a group. He can face you off solo. He kind of has a lot of good stuff. And again, even when he first came out, I don't think he was broken. I think he was fairly balanced. Like, I think Kid Buu, I don't think Kid Buu was broken on release. I could be wrong, but I know a lot of people complain about him. But these are the characters I know, based on my experience, deserve to have been complained about because of how oppressive they were. Bardock, unfortunately,
By Vegeta.
Bardock unfortunately took the worst hit. The moment Season 3 ended, Bardock had a nerve. Bardock had a nerve, and he could not take damage anymore. His ability to just shake things off was really bad, and I think but people like Topo.
That doesn't mean he's still got the pushing thing, but like Vegeta God.
Yeah, God Vegeta could just warp back in there. I would say he's still A tier in terms of being a tank. He's better than Vegeta, Super Saiyan Vegeta. But Topo really can just have his way with him now, because unlike God Vegeta, who could just instantly bring people in and probably not attack Topo, Bardock's counter, was it Riot counter or whatever it is? It builds up explosions based on attacks, and that stuff still counts for Topo when he's in his counter stance. So Topo kind of just has full range advantage against Bardock at this point, and Bardock
Oh, my counter.
and Vegeta, well, Vegeta is just better. he's Bardock but better. Broly, on the other hand, I think suffered the most during the season. Remember what I said when I was talking about Kale? Broly, in a meta where everybody was just shooting projectiles, suffered a lot. He did not have enough health to deal with that, and I think because of that situation, honestly, I think this is going to be a bit of a hot take here. I think low-key he was not as good as Kefla, because at least Kefla could shoot things at him that lingered farther away from where she was. He would get sniped out big time by people like God Vegeta, God Goku, Super Saiyan 3, the hammers. he kind of faltered on hammers. Kid Buu didn't even need to be near him for that. He could get slowed down. There was a lot of things going up against Broly during this era. Not even stuff where he was getting health from Buu Max was very good, because most of his attacks required him to be up in your face. And when you had somebody like Vegeta, it's like, yes, come to me! Broly could not deal with that. He would go to Vegeta. Vegeta would just not take damage. He would get health from Broly coming towards him. and you would just be punished. So, with that being said, I think Broly really just had struggled in this one. I wouldn't say he fell off, but I think he just he had a hard time, a really, really, really hard time trying to get a foothold in this one. And then we got our last character on the list here, Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta. I want to remind everybody what something I said. Godku's finger gun pierces through God Vegeta's barrier. Yeah, so he just invalidated Vegeta's entire super attack with Goku's own.
They realized they made too much of a strong shield, so it's like, okay, well, some characters have to be able to pierce it, otherwise it's not balanced.
Yeah, so Vegeta's interesting in that I think he's just better than Caulifla there. Because they both have the issue where their main gimmick gets pierced through, but at least he has mobility compared to Caulifla with that kick that could punch you into a wall. Otherwise, he really suffered a lot this season. George tried playing as Vegeta just to see what would happen against the God Vegeta, and yeah, it was a mistake. It was you definitely felt it. Even his final shine. Man, I want to say Bardock. When you pop off someone's Bardock ultimate, you see them get pushed really far. Vegeta's, it's like a little washing machine where you get tumbled, but you can still technically brute force by going towards it. And if you had enough health, like God Vegeta would, he could just shrug it off and go for the kill against Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta. And so it was bad. It was a bad time to be a Super Saiyan 4 player because you have to deal with getting pierced. Super Saiyan 4 could just jump you, and hammers, which was, I think, a good encapsulation of what the season was all about. It was having to deal with God Vegeta's God Zone, Finger Gun, Instant Transmission Abuse, and hammers. These guys on the very top of Broken List defined what Season 4 was all about, and I think when you look at it from that perspective, it was a really crappy season. I think Season 4 was the worst and most toxic season out of every season prior up to that point. You could say everything that we hated about Super Saiyan 3 Goku on his initial release in Season 1, but I think adding him along with other issues that they chose to ignore made it feel worse. It was the very first season where I actually just said, I'm not going to play. I don't feel like it. Hopefully it changes with Season 5. But yeah, this is our tier list for Season 4's best to worst in terms of like the meta for the game. And yeah, that's about it. Feel free to let me know what you guys think. George, when you wake up and you see this video being posted later today, let me know what you think. And we'll see you guys next time.